everyone, it's Carly Hall, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up your new Cricut machine. So regardless of if you have a Cricut Joy, a Cricut Explorer Air 2, an Explorer 3, a Maker, or a Maker 3, the setup process is very similar. We're going to start by downloading Cricut Design Space on our computer. If you have a tablet or a mobile device, I will film a separate tutorial on how to do that. So in today's tutorial, we will be using a laptop, and the process will look the same on a laptop and a computer. So to get started, what you need is your laptop or computer and your new Cricut machine. So I will be setting up the Maker 3, and we will walk through the process together, and then we will cut the practice project. All right, let's get started. Inside your box, you'll find a card that says, "Let's get started," and we're going to navigate to that website. It's cricut.com/setup. So you'll open up a browser window. I'm using Google Chrome, and we will navigate to cricut.com/setup. And here, if you are brand new to Cricut and you don't have Design Space on your computer yet, we are going to download it. So this is for a Mac. Since I'm on a Mac, if you were on a PC, you'll have a download option for your PC. So I'm going to agree to the terms, and I'm going to click download. Then in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see this download option come up, and you can click on that to open it up. Once this window pops up, you have your icon here, and it's telling you to drag it into your applications. To drag it into your applications, click on your trackpad and then drag it while still clicking into your applications. Then you can double click on your applications folder, and you should see Cricut Design Space in the application folder. Double click on that, and it will ask you if you want to open it, just to make sure that you trust the software, and you can click open. Now that Cricut Design Space has downloaded, we can close out all of the other windows. We don't need this anymore. And we can eject this as well. So you can drag this to eject it. All right, so you have Cricut Design Space. I'm going to make this full screen for you. And it's going to ask you if you want to set up a product or sign in. I'm going to assume that you don't have a Design Space account yet, so we're going to set up the product, but we're also going to create an account. On the Create Cricut ID, we will enter all of our information. If you already have an account, you can sign in here. And you can create any password that you would like. It will ask you to follow these parameters, so let's make sure that it has a capital letter. If you want to opt into their promotional emails, I already received those, but you can get discounts, ideas, all that good stuff. And then you'll want to agree to the terms and conditions, and then create a Cricut ID. You'll land on the Welcome to Cricut Setup page, and this is why I said it really doesn't matter which machine you have, because no matter what machine you're setting up, you will land on this page that looks just like this. And you're going to click Smart Cutting Machine, and then here you'll choose one of those machines that I mentioned. So I'm setting up the Cricut Maker 3, and it will tell you to prepare your workspace. Since you're loading in material, you'll need some clearance behind your machine, and you'll want to follow all the instructions. So we are going to plug in our machine and power it on. In your box, you'll find your power cable. So it looks like this for the Maker 3. You'll plug this side, let's see if it focuses here, this side into the wall, and then this into your Cricut machine. So following the prompts online, we're going to open up our machine and plug it in. So there's a whole bunch of plastic that we'll want to take off. Next, we'll plug in our machine. So this is plugged into my power source. And then on the back side of my machine, on the left-hand side, we have a circular port, and we can plug in our power cable. The next step is to connect to your computer. So they want you to connect your Cricut machine to your computer. And you may know that this machine and several of the other machines don't require any type of physical cord to connect to your computer. You can actually use your computer's Bluetooth capabilities to connect. So it is surprising that you still have to update your firmware using that cord. And my laptop does not have a USB port. So if you're in the same situation, you would need to use an adapter if you want to continue the setup this way. If you don't have an adapter and you want to set up your machine, you do have the option to use a mobile device. So I will show on the side of my screen what that looks like, just so you kind of have an idea. And then I will do a separate video completely showing the setup on a mobile device. So for my video, this setup with a computer, we will use an adapter, and I will link that in the video description if you don't have one already. But if you don't have an adapter, you can still get your Cricut machine set up, and I will show you that on the side of the screen. So for my video, we're going to plug this in and then grab your cord, and you're going to plug that in the back of the machine to your adapter. Once you have everything plugged in, we're going to power on our machine. Before you power on your machine, make sure to grab this little piece of foam out of your machine. Don't be like me and power it on with that. So pull that out and then power on your machine. On your computer, it'll say, please check that your machine is connected and powered on. If it is, turn off your machine and wait a moment. So if it's not connecting, like mine wasn't, probably because of the foam, we're going to power it off and re-power it back on. And then I'm just going to click this refresh. All right, so it looks like it's connected, and we can click continue. Now it wants me to update my machine, so we'll click update. It looks like it's just going to reboot the machine, so we're going to leave our machine powered on and connected during this process. My maker is up to date, so we can click next. And then we are going to register my machine. So to register your machine, all you have to do is add Cricut Maker 3 to your Cricut ID. Craft with Carly is my email. Click agree to the terms of services and privacy policy, and then we're going to click register. Okay, so we're registered, and now we're going to click next. Next, you're going to get prompted to start a free trial of Cricut Access. If you're brand new to Cricut, Cricut Access is a monthly subscription that gives you access to tons of images, fonts, lots of good content. And I like to describe it like Netflix. So you can use all of that stuff, just like you can watch all the shows and movies, but the second that you stop paying for it or your trial expires, you no longer have access to use any of that content. So that's the same principle with Cricut Access. When you're paying or you're on a trial, you can use all the fonts and images, you can cut them as much as you want, but the second that your trial is over or you stop paying, you no longer have access to that content. So if you want to see if you like it, you can start the free trial, and you do have to enter your billing info because at the end of your trial, it will charge you. So if you want to do that, and I do recommend that you try it out, put in all your billing information and then set a reminder that in like 25 days to decide if you want to keep it or not. So that way you don't get charged if you don't want it. So I'm going to click back, and then I'm just going to say no thanks, since I actually already am a Cricut Access member on my different account. So I'm going to say no thanks, but I definitely do encourage you to try it out, especially while you're learning to use your Cricut, because then you can cut all those images and fonts for free. All right, now we are going to do our first test cut. So we are going to make a sticker, and we can select any of these images that we want. I'm going to choose this flower and then click next. And then we are going to prepare for the cut. So let me show you. On the screen, it shows you exactly what you're looking for, but you want to make sure that your blade is secured in the housing. So I like to place my blade, and there's a little shelf that your blade sits on. So to make sure that it's fully loaded in, you'll place your blade on that shelf. You can remove your hand to make sure it's secure, and then close that clamp and make sure it's all the way tight. Next, we're going to load the included material. So in your box, you had a packet of material. The back of the material shows you what it is. So this is smart vinyl, and it has a removable adhesive, and it even tells you what it's for. Great for windows, walls, and more. You'll want to ensure that the color side is up facing you, and you'll want to place it under the guides so that it's the long way across. So you'll see that if you try to load it this way, it's 12 inches and you need it to be 13 inches. So you want to load the 13-inch side this way. And then once you're happy with the direction, you have it kind of pressed up against the rollers here. I'm holding it with one hand. Then I'm going to click the load button. So it pulled in my material to make sure I had it loaded correctly. And then it is flashing the start button here. So I'm going to click that. On my screen, you can see it says cut in progress, just so you know what's going on with your machine. So my test cut is complete, and then I have my flashing arrows. I also have on my computer screen an unload option. So either one, you can click those and unload it. And then we are going to just peel our sticker off. So it's actually showing us we don't even need any tools. So we can just kind of lift our sticker and peel it off. I will link to some tutorials on using vinyl because I definitely recommend transfer tape, but this one, it's just showing you how easily you can make a sticker and then not have to worry about weeding tools and all that stuff. So you have a sticker. I don't want to waste this. Let's put this on something. You'd think I have a million things to put things on in my craft room, but I didn't. So I just grabbed an envelope, and you can see that it's a sticker ready to place. So there's an adhesive on one side and the colors on the other, and I can just press it down. Again, I'll show you a tutorial on how to use transfer tape so that you don't have to just freehand that. But it's pretty cool that quickly you can create a custom sticker and you're good to go. So let's start designing. So I can just quickly show you how to connect to your machine without using the cord, and then how to start playing around in Design Space. Before it sends you back to Cricut Design Space, it actually sends you to this learning page, which is really cool because you can take a tour, learn about Design Space, and then start using your machine, making a decal. So it looks like there's a lot of good stuff here. Okay, so we are going to close this out, and we're going to open Cricut Design Space, and we're going to start. So I decided not to choose to pay for Cricut Access or do the free trial. And so you'll see that there's prices associated to all these images. That's not to say that you cannot use Cricut Design Space for free. You absolutely can. So we're going to just click on a new project here. And you land on this thing called the canvas. And this is where you're going to be able to design. So you have a whole bunch of free shapes that are included here. And then you have even more if you pay for that subscription. But you are able to upload your own images, and you can cut any text on your computer for free. I'll link to another video where I show you how to use Cricut Design Space for free. But this is kind of just a brief overview. You can play around in Design Space. You can type out things. If you have a whole bunch of fonts on your computer, you can use any of those fonts on your system. So system fonts are things that are included on my computer that I've downloaded. And I can choose any of these fonts and cut them for free. So you can see that I can type out my name really quick. So it's really fun to play in here and kind of just get a feel for it. My entire channel is teaching you how to use your Cricut machine. So again, this is just setting it up and registering. But if you want to actually start using your machine, you're going to want to check out some other videos. The last thing I wanted to show you in this quick overview is how to connect to your machine without the cable. So let me switch back over to my camera, and I'm going to unplug my machine. So I'm just unplugging it from my laptop here. So it's no longer connected. And then I'm going to quickly let's just weld this together. Again, I have more tutorials on what I'm doing here, but we're going to click Make It. When you continue on, it's going to ask if you want to use a cutting mat or cut without a mat like we just did. So I'm just going to do without a mat. Again, I will link to more tutorials so that we can dive in and learn our machine, but I'm going to click without a mat and then click Done, and then click Continue On. So it's telling me I need to plug in my machine, but I'm just going to X that out. And I'm going to open up my Bluetooth settings. So if you don't know how to get to your Bluetooth settings, click on the Apple. We're going to go to System Preferences, and we're going to go to Bluetooth. And then you'll see that your machine will pop up here. You'll want to make sure that your machine is powered on to do this. And then you're going to click Connect. If your machine connects correctly, it'll turn blue and you'll have a blue power button representing the fact that it's connected to Bluetooth. So now I can go back to my Cricut design space and I will see that it's connected via Bluetooth. So it's funny that it threw up that warning that it needed to be connected with a cord when it actually doesn't. So that's just a little tip so that you can get it connected. And then we can go through the making flow. So I'm going to use that same Smart Vinyl removable. And then we're going to load that into our machine again. So I'm going to use the other side. Load that into my machine, put it under the rollers, holding with one hand, and then load it in. Oops. And it loaded a little bit crooked, but it looks like it's okay. It's measuring to make sure I put enough material in there. And even though it was a little crooked, it's okay, it accepted it. Then we're going to click the Start button here. And after a little bit of thinking, it's cutting. We'll click Unload. And I'm done with my computer. So I know I said I wanted to keep this tutorial short, but it's so hard for me not to show you what happens next. So down here was my flower, and up here is my big name that I cut. So I'm just going to trim that off so I don't waste any material. And my material is wider than my trimmer, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. So I've trimmed down my material, and next we're going to do a process called weeding. So I have a hook, and I will link to some products that I recommend in a blog post of things I recommend when you're getting started, because it can be overwhelming. But we are going to weed our project. Weeding is the process of pulling away the excess material. So all I did is grabbed the corner with my hook, and then I can just gently pull away the excess. Then we're going to pull out all of the insides of our letters. I'm just collecting them all here. And I have a nice big decal with my name. Now, what I'm not going to do is transfer it the way that I did that flower, because if I tried to pull that off and then tried to place it, it would be really difficult. So in your materials kit, it actually came with a piece of transfer tape. So here is the piece of transfer tape, and on the back it says used to keep vinyl cuts aligned during the transfer, which is exactly what we need it to do. So we're going to trim it down. So here is our transfer tape. It has a liner on the back here. To start the corner, you can use your weeding hook or tweezers if you don't have a weeding tool yet, and just kind of grab the corner so that you can peel it up. And I like to peel back just a little bit of the liner so that the sticky is only exposed just a little bit. And that way I can place it on my decal nice and straight without the entire thing sticking down. So I'm just going to place that little bit here and then just slowly peel back the liner and cover my entire decal like this. So I have my entire decal covered, and then if you want to get super fancy, you can use a scraper and you can burnish your decal so that it sticks to your transfer tape. And I like to do the back as well to get it on there. All right, now we need to transfer this to something. how about this cardboard box that came with our machine? I want to put it on here and I want it to be lined up so that I get it nice and straight. Now I could just peel it off and go rogue, but if you know me, you would know that would never fly. So if I were doing this on a piece of wood or a real project, I would take my measuring tape and I'd measure, or you can finger measure, to get it nice and even in the center. And once you're happy with it, we're going to do a thing called the hinge method. Take a piece of masking tape and we're going to tape it where we want it to be. So everything is still has the liner and I haven't removed anything yet. The hinge method makes it really easy to place it as opposed to just randomly eyeballing it. So to get off your vinyl, the smart material, the liner is a little bit rigid, so you kind of just have to push it off. So now my decal is on the transfer tape and off the liner. And I'm going to grab my scissors and just cut that liner off here. And now I can roll this back and put it onto my cardboard. Now, this transfer tape and the vinyl are holding my project in place, so I can remove this hinge that was helping me. Just pull that off. If I was doing multiple projects, I would save this because I am very frugal. And then we are just going to pull this side off. Again, if it doesn't stick to the transfer tape, you kind of roll. You kind of can just roll it onto the transfer tape. Making sure it sticks onto the tape and off of the liner. And then just slowly push it onto your project. All right, so once it's on your project, you can burnish it onto the project blank. And you can peel off your transfer tape. Again, if you're frugal like me, you can absolutely reuse this piece of transfer tape. Just take your tape and place it back on to a clean liner. Here's my original liner, so I can just place it right back onto there and save it for a different project. So just like that, you're up and crafting and making projects. There's just so much I want to show you. So again, check out my YouTube channel and that will give you a good launching point to get started on what you want to learn. But in the comments, if you have questions or you need more video tutorials, let me know, and definitely like this video if it helped you get started, and subscribe to my channel if you want to learn more about your Cricut machine. I'm so happy that you got your machine up and out of your box and you're getting started. So I'm here to help. Let me know how I can help you. I'll see you in the next video.